Champions Cup this Friday, and it's just the one game because Montpellier and Leinster has been called off with some COVID cases. So Montpellier get a default 28 points to nil victory. It's similar to what happened with Scarlets and Bristol last week, but that one was Scarlet's decision to forfeit the match. This one, I think Leinster was able to field a team which had tested negative, but they're going to do the whole medical experts thing. I guess if there's been cases around the camp and contacts and whatnot, they've decided the risk is there. So that game is already done, which is pretty... it's just interesting because Montpellier has essentially fielded a... Well, in the first round, they fielded a bit of a B team, so it seems like it's a competition they're not really prioritising. And then they ended up getting the 28-0 victory, so I'll be pretty happy with that. The game that is going to be played is Ulster and Northampton. Ulster started their week pretty well, their competition well last week with their big win. Well, not big. It was big in terms of it being a good result. Like, it wasn't a big scoreline. It was 29 points to 23 away to Clermont. But the away win in France is definitely not an easy thing to come by. So big in those terms. Racing gave Northampton a big result, and it was a bit of a hiding. At home, Northampton were particularly disappointing. 45 points to 14. So, yeah, it's a tough one for Northampton to bounce back, but we will see how the Saints can go. In terms of the lineups, Ulster have made a few changes. They've got Ian Henderson back. He missed out last week. He's back fit, and he captains the side in the second row, so that's good news. They got Marty Moore back. He's a tight head, so again, that's a bit of good news. Balaku, remember, he was injured last week, so he is out, I think, for the foreseeable future. So Craig Gilroy comes in on the right wing. Otherwise, the side's pretty similar. Cooney and Burns in the 9-10. McCloskey and Hume were pretty massive last week, cracked up a lot of run meters, so those guys will be looking to have an impact. The back row of Ray, Timony and Vermeulen gets through a lot of work, so yeah, there's lots to like about the Ulster side, to be fair. You can bring on guys like Treadwell, who's dropped to the bench, Sam Carter, and Nathan Doak's been phenomenal from what we've seen of him in 2021, so... yeah, good times for them. For Northampton, there's a few guys who are out. Bigger is out injured, so Furbank replaces him at 10. That means Tuala comes in at fullback to replace the vacant fullback jersey. Slight Holmes in for Freeman as well, who is also out. Good news is Laws is back at 6. And Mikey Hayward's come in for Matavesi. I'm not sure if that's selection or if that's fitness. I couldn't read anything about Matavesi being... not fit, but yeah, Waller comes up from the bench. Otherwise, I mean, it's relatively stable. Same midfield with Dingwall and Proctor. Like I mentioned, they'll have to be on their toes because the Ulster midfield, not only last week, but in general this season, has been a bit of a handful. But Alex Mitchell, speaking of handfuls, he's caused some opposition defences some misery in his time in the Premiership this season, so he'll be looking for a good game. Ribbons and Ratuna Yarawa, the same locks as last week. Skosan has been dangerous since coming into the Saints setup, so they'll certainly have to watch him out on the left wing. They probably wouldn't have seen much of him unless they watched Super Rugby or the Premiership in Ulster, but he's certainly a bit of a danger man. Augustus has dropped to the bench. Hutchinson's still there. So, yeah, both sides are kind of not huge changes, but neither of them are fielding the exact same side that played last week. It could be, in terms of a spectacle, a pretty fun one. I'm not sure what the weather report is like for Belfast tomorrow, for me anyway, as I record this on Friday in New Zealand, because it's going to be Saturday by the time I get to see it. Ulster chucked 12 offloads last week and Northampton 8, which is not a small amount for either side. Ulster were better at generating clean breaks. They had 6 in their game. Northampton just the 2. Northampton's issues were on the other end, whereas they conceded 9 clean breaks in their game last week, and yeah, Ulster just the 6. So Ulster were kind of 50-50 on able to get clean breaks and concede clean breaks, whereas Northampton were totally on the wrong end of it. Penalties conceded, likewise, Northampton conceded 12 in their game last week. So just a wee bit high, 8 for Ulster in their game. Ulster do like to kick at 36 kicks. from them in their game last week, and that's similar to what Racing did to Northampton, so they'll have to be careful kind of in their back three. Predictions-wise, the Rugby Forecast algorithm says Ulster by 12. The bookies says Ulster by 14. So either way, Ulster are going into this one as big-time favourites at home. Certainly Northampton will be looking for a better result than 45-14, which was, as I mentioned, very, very bad. Ulster will be looking to kind of bounce back on that good away win with a nice one at home. The only thing that kind of gives me a little bit of doubt is they played Leinster away in the URC a few weeks ago and got a huge win, and then the next week kind of didn't show up to the same degree. So I hope that doesn't happen from an Ulster perspective this week. They kind of need to back it up 2 weeks in a row. So yeah, we will see. Will Ulster kind of keep charging along and staking a claim for some European glory? Will Northampton be able to bounce back after a pretty dreadful one last week? And yeah, Montpellier and Leinster is off, unfortunately. But anyway, you guys have any thoughts? I think it's on pretty late kickoff, but that's kind of good for me here in New Zealand. So yeah, we'll see how we go. You guys take care, and I will talk to you again soon. See you later.